Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into the channel. Today's Wednesday, May 11th, 2022, and I just opened up my eBay inbox, and there is an interesting message inside of it. I'm going to go ahead and slide over. I'm going to post it up here on the side of the screen. I'm going to read it to you, and then we're going to talk about it. So there should be a screenshot of it right up over my shoulder here, and it says, "You may have heard about a new tax law that went into effect this year. We believe this new regulation just doesn't make sense. It creates confusing and unnecessary paperwork for millions of casual eBay sellers, or sellers on eBay, excuse me, who will now receive tax forms even when they don't owe taxes. To help support our sellers, we've been working to put pressure on Congress by bringing up our community together to make their voices heard. We need sellers like you to speak out today and tell Congress to act in the interest of sellers across the U.S. Here's what's happening. Companies like eBay are required to report sales to the IRS using a tax form called a 1099-K. Until recently, you would only get a 1099-K if you sold over $20,000 and 200 items. Now, we all know that. It changed the first of this year. Starting this year, new legislation has lowered that threshold to just $600, even if it's from a single sold item. So we know that. Pretty much no new news to anyone. We know that changed, right? Now, here's the part that eBay gets into. Where it gets complicated is you'll get this form even if you don't owe anything. They're talking about federal tax. Because not all sales are taxable, for example. If you sell something for less than you paid for it, that means millions of sellers will now get unnecessary tax forms, creating confusion and pointless paperwork both for the IRS and for small-time sellers who aren't set up to deal with it. Imagine selling an old bike for $800 that cost you $1,500 a few years ago. Since you didn't make a profit, the IRS doesn't consider that taxable income. That's true. You sold it at a loss. But under this new law, you're still getting a 1099-K, and now you'll have to prove to the IRS that you don't actually owe any taxes on that sale, which makes for a complicated accounting work. Here's what you can do. We're asking our community to take action. Recently, new legislation was introduced to raise the threshold and limit the number of sellers getting these unnecessary forms. But we need your support to make sure it will pass. Go to eBay Main Street website and tell Congress to act now to support Americans selling online. It'll only take a few minutes, and if we succeed, it can save you and millions of other sellers the hassle of needless tax forms for years to come. Okay, let's address this in two parts. So first of all, this 1099 requirement requires a lot of extra effort and work from eBay. So absolutely they want to get this out. It takes eBay a lot of time to process all of your information and send out these 1099s to a whole lot more people than they were sending it out to just last year or years in the past. Okay, here's where eBay is wrong on this, or at least in my opinion, it's kind of deceptive misnomers. So if you buy a bike for $1,500 and a couple years later you sell it on eBay for $800, you sold it at a loss, and you are absolutely correct that you don't owe taxes on that item. But what if you're selling a whole bunch of other items that you did make a profit on? Well, clearly you would need to report all of that, legally report all of that, and take all your profit, subtract the items that you lost on, and it would work that way to come up with whether you made a profit or made a loss through the whole year. It's not based off of one item. It's based off of everything that you did through the whole year. Also, there's no way for the IRS or for eBay for that matter to know, did you buy it? When you sell it for $800, all eBay knows is you sold it for $800. They told the IRS $800. The IRS just knows you sold it for $800. Nobody knows if you actually did buy it at the store for $1,500 a couple years ago, or did you just see it at a garage sale for $5 and scooped it up and made a $795 sale profit on it? Nobody knows that. The burden of proof is on you. There's no way to know whether you just sold an awesome Gucci shirt for $100 that you bought at a garage sale for $5, or whether it's your own Gucci shirt that you bought at the Gucci store for $250 last year. Nobody knows that. And that's why this law exists, and that's why I believe it's actually good. A lot of hobby sellers and a lot of small sellers are going to disagree with me, but listen, how else is the IRS or eBay or anyone supposed to know what you paid for something, what you profited on it? It is up to you to have that receipt. If it's an older item, or maybe somebody gifted you a bicycle for Christmas, right? And then you sold it, or maybe you bought your fiance a great gift and you spent 500 and then you sold it on eBay for 300 at a loss. You should have those receipts. If you don't, and it's a personal item that you've been using, there should be social media pictures. You could sign a sworn affidavit. Remember, none of this matters until you get audited. Because if you put it in that you made a loss on that item, and then you take a loss on all this stuff, and then you're like, oh, I took a loss over the year, I don't owe any taxes because my profit was zero or negative, the IRS flags you, audits you, then they could come and ask you to prove it. But unless that happens, then you're good anyways, which in the small numbers typically won't happen. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, CPA, lawyer. I can't give you legal financial advice. This is just me spewing it out there that that's the way that it works. You don't have to prove any of this with those receipts or anything like that until you get audited. Now, if you bought something 5 years ago, you don't have a receipt, you paid $1,000 for it, and now you're selling it for $200 or $300 on eBay, and you want to put it down that, okay, I took a $600 loss or whatever it amounts to, and you can't prove it, well, yeah, you could get yourself into a little bit of Dutch, because in the event that you did get audited, they're going to say, hey, this bike was a $600 loss. Can you prove it? And you're like, well, I bought it like 5 years ago. I don't have the receipt. I don't have any way to really prove that. But I have a bunch of social media pictures of me over the last 5 years riding this bicycle, and here's me at the beach with it, and here's 3 years ago at the town square riding it, and all this stuff. Sign a sworn affidavit. I can't tell you for sure the IRS would accept that, but I would imagine that they would be flexible and lenient. In the event that you have a whole bunch of sold items and you're writing them off as losses over and over and over and over again, well, they're not going to be stupid, right? Like, it has to make sense. It has to, like, really every single item. You sold 1,000 items on eBay this year and every one of them was your personal items. I suppose somebody could clean their closet out and sell hundreds of pieces of clothes on Poshmark or eBay. But realistically, it has to make sense. You have to prove it in the event of an audit. So I think it's a good thing, because you could be buying all these awesome bicycles at garage sales for $1, selling them for $1,000, making all this profit, and then just lying about it or not getting reported, and you're skating while the rest of us are paying our taxes like we're supposed to be. So I think it's a good idea. The burden of proof is on you. I know a lot of you smaller sellers are definitely going to disagree with me, and I'm sorry. But honestly, look, if you're just selling a little bit hobby small time and you're getting a 1099, it's not that hard to account for it all, and it's not that hard to prove it and either produce receipts if you have to, or it's not that complicated. And if you're not selling a lot, you're probably not profiting very much, if anything. And if you are not making much money, zero or a loss, you're not going to owe anything. So you don't have to pay anything. So what is there to worry about? Report it, put the numbers down. You don't owe anything or very little, and you move on, right? So for me, that's where I see that. And I think that eBay is partially trying to help small, because they know that small and hobby sellers are scared of this, and so they'll stop selling, and that costs eBay money. Totally understand that. And also because it requires eBay to put in a lot of time and effort and work to collect our information, which scares off sellers again, and then to issue us the 1099s and do all that paperwork and then report it to the IRS in the back end. It's a lot of effort for eBay. I understand completely. But at the same time, it is what it is, right? So people shouldn't be allowed to skirt, and people shouldn't be allowed to get away with cheating the system. And just because you sell $600 or $1,200 or $1,500, just like that message says, doesn't mean that you owe taxes or that you are profitable or any of that sort of thing. So that's my outtake and my outlook on it. I don't want any little sellers or hobby sellers to be mad at me. I'm not trying to say that I think you should have undue work or unnecessary stress on you, but I'm saying it's not that bad. It's easy. You won't owe much, if anything, if you're not doing that big of sales or making that much profit. And this is simply just something that burden of proof on you. So yeah, that's what I think about the message. A few of you sent me screenshots of it and asked what I thought about it. That's my opinion. And hopefully you guys agree, don't agree. I don't know. But anyways, I'll leave it in the comment section below for all of you to let me know what you think about this message that popped up this 11th day of May 2022 in our eBay inbox. If you didn't get it, you probably will get it today, tonight, tomorrow, whatever. Otherwise, it was screenshotted in this video. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video with everyone. That way they don't freak out over the message, and they can get a clear understanding of just what is going on from that message and from me. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see everyone next time.